It's two.
very-
But
It's from
it's
2 to
not-
4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's two.
It's not.
It's really the
Every
afternoon.
week we're having an event, yeah.
Like I said, guitar and
So,
a bass.
so what day is the jazz and what day is the comedy?
Saturday, Tuesday,
Saturday is what?
jazz.
Okay, Saturday 2
Yeah,
to
and
4.
we haven't been doing it as of late.
You know, 'cause it's too cold.
It's usually a summer.
Last Tuesday this month.
Yeah, you should come by.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we have a meeting this Tuesday, I mean, the last Tuesday, so is it always the last Tuesday? of every
It's
month?
usually, I think like the Tuesday, what's it, the 28th?
The 28th, yeah, it's every last Tuesday. It used to be
Every
last
Tuesday, we
Thursday.
have
we-
general
we
meeting,
changed
right?
it.
Yeah. So, we just want to, you know, I'm gonna ask for a motion to recommend to approve.
A second.
I need a first.
All motion.
A motion, and you'll second? Good, okay. So, is there an objection to adopting this to common consent?
No.
Okay, so, we are all in favor of this, and the motion is adopted by common consent of approval of this, application. Now, here's the thing. The last Tuesday of this month, we have a general board meeting you must attend. Or, Philonicus
Philonicus.
decree.
Yeah.
Philonicus decree. Yeah,
Absolutely.
someone
We'll
has
be back by then,
to,
right?
someone has to attend, and, they might be asking you questions, also the rest of the board. They do hear that we approved it, but might have their own questions. I see from the application that you're closed at 11. I know for a fact that I was there, we were there about 10.
July?
No, we need to check you guys out by your first time when you were, I think, right? First time when you applied. And, we were very happy to hear he stopped serving even liquor, even the beer at like 10:30, it was like.
I got beer.
10, yeah, but it was like 10 something, and it was like, that's it, or something like that.
Yeah, it was the last
Yeah, you were
call.
close with the last call, right. So we're pretty comfortable with that. So, just please make sure that you'll be by the general meeting, because that's gonna be the confirmation of the approval,
Absolutely.
okay? All right, great, thank you for coming in.
Should get a call from the board telling you where it'll be, but
Yeah, right.
it should be at 400 Empire
Empire.
Boulevard, we believe.
But
so.
not always. So if it comes to Monday, the last Monday of the month, and you haven't heard from the board, call Community Board 9 and say, I'm supposed to come for the approval of the application. Where is it being held? It's usually held at 400 Empire, but sometimes there's an event happening in that high school, and so we do it in another public school.
But the 28th, Monday.
The 27th.
27th.
27th, Monday.
So call, they'll speak to Dante or Maya, and then they'll let you know.
But it's very possible they'll call you.
Okay, that's great.
That's usually what they do.
The meeting will take place, where it will take place, that's.
Is the
that's
question,
the TBD.
exactly.
Okay,
Exactly, okay, so you might miss the comedy club.
okay.
Okay.
Someone's gonna miss it.
Okay, someone's gonna miss it, okay.
Alright.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you for your approval.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. I think we could discuss a little bit right now.
I gotta get the bus from over there.
Criteria for SLA applications.
Okay, that was
I think that he had some strategies. Oh, he's here.
Oh,
Okay.
Great.
No, you can go.
No, you can go, you can go. You don't
You have to do it all.
Can we get a video copy of this? I wanna show my mom. I want something positive in New
Of
York.
course, let's ask Don to get, you're able to see it. All our videos. are
It's
able
gonna be on
to see.
YouTube
It's
or
a law.
anything like that?
It's a law, you're able to see anything, it's posted.
Well,
Video.
our
YouTube
channel.
YouTube. Up front?
So up front, okay.
Yes, Dante will give you, his name is Dante, he will give you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, thank you for coming.
Hearing.
Yeah, we'd love to hear about that. Yeah, we'd like to hear about that.
Have a good rest of your evening.
Take care. really wasn't any issues with this application, so it kind of was pretty smooth. It was a recertification, and we had to come and visit it there. So I think the first time they had applied, so we were very familiar with the
Oh,
place.
Pearlie's back then?
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
yeah, we actually had gone into, we thought it was quite interesting. A laundromat that serves.
Liquor and food.
Yeah, yeah, but it's very cozy, it's actually a nice place, you guys should really check it out. Okay, but anyway, so now we're pretty much, the FDNY did not come, NYPD did not come.
Those are conversations.
Yeah, so we're up to criteria for SLA applications.
Okay, okay, all right, so last month we began the conversation, with respect to, we wanted to start the process of standardizing the criteria that we have for SLA
Right.
applications. We wanna make sure that we're consistent, that people know what to expect. The board also can cut conversations in terms of we understand what our end times are, where, if there's any variances, if it's on a main corridor, it's one time or anything else. So we just wanted to really start having that conversation in terms of what makes sense. At this time, I think we'll just open the floor. So has anybody been able to give any thought to that? Is there anything we want to start considering with respect to that?
I think end time is very important. I think it's very important. I really think we should have an end time that's across the board, and so that everybody has that same end time, as opposed to like sometimes we have approvals that till 12, and sometimes we have approvals till 2, and sometimes we have approvals till 11. And
Is it dependent on the zone?
Yes.
So that's why.
That's
Yeah.
what it's to
Right.
So that's why
does it
I'm
have to
assuming.
depend on the zone?
Well, and that's the recommendation we want to say. I mean, we may say, listen, it's a hard time for everybody, or we may say if you're on one of the main corridors where there's probably maybe less residential impact, you may say, okay, you can go a little bit later. Versus if it's in another section of the district where it's probably a little bit more highly residential, you may say, listen, you got to cut it a little bit earlier.
Yeah, but that's when it starts getting tricky, because we had this recently, that we had an applicant that until 2 AM that had a lot of residents around, even though it was on a commercial street. So that gets very iffy, because yeah, it's on a commercial street, but yeah, there's a lot of families and young children and all around them. And frankly, I abstained from that, because I didn't think it was a smart move to have anything open till 2 AM that's around families. I think that New Yorkers deserve, like everyone else, that have children and jobs and this and that, not to have to
Or
hear.
even if they don't, quality of life.
Quality of life.
Even if you're single,
Yeah,
whether you're a renter or a homeowner, it's a quality of life.
deserve
component.
quality of life.
And then I think we called out the last time, it's about spillage, right? So we have to consider cigarette smoke, right? Because we're now on like year 20 of non-smoking in restaurants and bars. We have to consider parking. We have to consider someone may yell, hey, I'll call you tomorrow, and they're not thinking that there's a neighborhood, that there's people who are sleeping.
Kids and adults and
yeah.
everyone.
People who work third or fourth shift. And then with that, with those type of hours, it also has to be a consideration of parking also. So, all of those are things to think of. I think when we think about our boundaries of this community board, we don't have sort of an Atlantic Avenue sort of situation, right? Where there may be new residential on top of what used to be, or the zone, and I think the mayor's speaking about that right now, how Atlantic Avenue is zoned out. And so most of our zones are, yes, there's some main thoroughways and certain avenues may be more popular than others with commercial, but I think it still spills into more residential, right? So whether it's Utica or Nostrand or Rogers, there's still always going to be homes on Carroll, homes on Crown,
Right.
homes on Hawthorne, and easy, sharp, or homes above that, and residents above that. So, I agree that the consideration should be thought of in regards to noise pollution, air pollution, which it happens in regards to cigarette smoke or whatever else is being smoked now, and then also,
Exactly.
crowds, post-event when something is closed. and those are all factors. You know, someone sits on someone's step for a romantic discussion, you're not thinking, oh, there's people above us. You know, sometimes there's an honest lack of self-awareness that all humans have. And I think that those are considerations, but again, because, yes, we
Especially
are
when you
on,
had a bottle of wine or something else, you're a little bit less aware
yes.
of like thinking about others. It's just the nature of what it is.
You know, I'll throw this out. It may, you know, I'm not sure if we have the data or the hard data. I get a sense though, I think especially the more successful businesses, the ones who've been here for a while, they might have some things to say about how do they manage that, because I think those are the concerns they do. Those are the owners that will go outside and be like, listen, whatever you're doing, take it away from here. Or they're more in communication with the neighbor. So I'm not sure if it's helpful to get that kind of feedback, to identify are they doing to mitigate these things, or even alternatively, everything that's been said here makes sense. So you know what, you let everybody know that if you're coming here, we expect you to be a good neighbor. So in other words, you're going to have noise mitigation. You're going to make sure that, you know, there's no smoking or there's designated, you know, I'm not even sure what the rules are anymore. If there's designated places to smoke or not smoke, parking situations in terms of how do they assist the neighborhood with that as well. What are they doing to make sure that they are going to be good neighbors? But I think that, you know, the reason why we had the conversation up front, when they go to the website, they'll say, this is what CMAT is looking at. And the minute you violate that, there is a problem. We always ask for fire, we always ask for, you know, police. You know, in some instances, we might ask for like even health and safety, you know, stuff like that, because we want to see if they're good neighbors to begin with. And if we see there's a pattern of reports, or it's like there's a shootout every weekend on your corner, guess what happens the next time you come around?
I like that you have such a high regard for people's integrity.
I say that because I go out a lot,
Right.
and I do a lot of in this community, and also I do it outside of this community, and I don't see owners or staff that come out that often. Now, well, security, yes,
Okay.
but owners and staff, and so what we're saying is security, but those are for places that need to card, right?
Right.
All of these places, yes, you're supposed to card, but it isn't always necessary, because you're coming in for dinner, you're not assuming everyone will be drinking, right? Whereas at a bar, it's different. I do remember, I believe it was May of last year, where there was someone who came up to the board, and they were supposed to be opening a bar, I believe, on President,
Yeah,
right? I don't believe it's open as of yet.
it's open.
It's open.
Yeah.
And I believe that he initially, the introduction, and that's another thing, right? It's a difference when something's on the on our avenues, and then when there's a bar in the middle of the block. And I think he was really called out on a number. I remember asking him, did you take into account that there's individuals that worship whether Friday night or Saturday night, or Friday or Saturday or Sunday, right? Because this is the community we live in, right? We have 3 days of worship, and sometimes Thursday night if individuals, you know, are of Islam. And it wasn't a consideration, but that's capitalism, right? He saw a place to put a place, and that's just what we've been seeing in this neighborhood. So I think that that's also a facet that we have to take into consideration, is how far is it from actual enclave blocks in comparison to it being also in our hubs? How, you know, is it inside of, you know, a majority still of our residential is mixed use, right? And so they have to be also factored in as well. Sometimes they didn't sign up for this, where they say, when I moved here, it was a 99-cent store, and now it's going to be a possible bar, right? And now I have cigarette smoke coming up in my window in the summertime because I don't have central air, and I have to keep a window open. So, like I think I mentioned at the last meeting, I think the beauty of, our committee is that we speak from an advocate and not from a niche perspective, and we speak for overall, so it's not just the block we live on, but it's the overall aspect of the community. And we think about, well, if I lived on top of a store, I'd be irate. Or if I was around the corner, you know, some of us are on blocks that do have those things, some of us are on blocks that luckily haven't been zoned for that. So we you know, our noise is a little bit different, but those are factors to be considered. Should we set up a certain time? I think so, but there should be some flexibility in regards to location. So, and I say this because this is New York City, and if you go into a bar and they close at 12 o'clock, it's going to be a fail, right? And the steps and process and procedure is, they rent the place, right? So the process is finding a location, set on a location, with hopes to keep it open until 2 or 4, but then come against the board and to hear that of difference in regards to what is the average open time within New York. And again, it depends, is it a hybrid, like a laundry bar, which of course is not gonna be open that late, or is it a bar, or is it a restaurant?
They're 24-hour laundromats. They chose to close at 11. It's what they chose to do. There are laundromats that go all out, 24 hours. There are laundromats like that. I just feel like if a bar, to be successful, has to be open till 4, it doesn't belong in a neighborhood where there's people around that have to sleep and have to. I don't think it's fair.
In terms of criteria, is there like something that we can look at and say, okay, this is the maximum, like this is the latest any bar can stay open, and this is, like, is there a high and a low?
I will, and I apologize, that's information that we should get from SLA.
Yeah.
But there is a cap, and here's the reason why I say that, because I want to say, by law, I saw that, by law, they're allowed to serve up until 4 a.m. So, that is the absolute cap. By law, they can serve until 4 a.m. I don't think we need to go that far.
No.
Right.
But I want to be fair in
Yeah.
terms of, I don't want to say, well, listen, it's 9 o'clock, you need to shut down, because I'm going to sleep. I think there needs to be a balance that we strike between that, or what's reasonable, because you do want to give people an opportunity to run a business, to earn a living. Because that's what this is for many people, it's a living. But we want to make sure that, again, to that balance where it's like, okay, but you also have, if you're in neighborhoods, you have neighbors, you know, they live there and everything, and they want to be able to enjoy their, you know, have their peace as well. So, yeah, no answer there, but I guess that's what I just wanted to just put that as part of the conversation.
Another factor to consider is not only the hours of, it's in addition to the hours, is this a place that has iPad music, live music, a DJ?
Right.
So some of those factors should be considered as well. in the
Outside areas?
application. Right, agreed. Outside areas,
Yeah.
outside dining, because then that's spillage again of noise pollution.
Well, and I'm glad you said that. We'll get information on that, because there are different things that affect that as well. There's cabaret laws.
Right.
And I'm speaking out of school, so, you know,
And
I've
do
heard
we
terms.
manage the cabaret? We don't manage the cabaret
I'm
laws,
not
that's
sure,
a separate entity.
but there are sound permits, and that's the thing, I
Right,
think
the
it's
sound
good for us
permits,
to.
I think we really need to know, there are specific types of soundproofing
Yeah.
that's more effective than others. So a lot of applicants will come in and say, yeah, I did soundproofing, and I've done soundproofing in my house, and I can tell you that some of it is worthless. It's just, it is. They tell you, yeah, you're not gonna hear a thing, and I hear everything. So it must be better, and there must be, and I know that Suki had told me at one point that there are specific regulations, there are.
Right, and she's probably one of those I want to tap on that one, because she cited specific incidents. She's brought it up several times during board meetings. And again, I just want to make sure that as a committee and as a board, we understand what those regulations
Right.
are. So again, so that way, we're not going to devolve into arguments about,
And we can request
meeting
it,
standards.
we can request it, say,
It's
yeah,
upfront.
yeah, yeah.
Well, it's
You
upfront, and
guys,
again-
yeah, you guys wanna be open this time, they're fine, but there are people that are living around, you need to do this kind of soundproofing, and then we'll be okay.
But here's the thing, if we can state that,
Mhm.
that they need soundproofing, do they have to do that?
I mean, is it
Right,
enforceable?
right, is it enforceable or is it a recommendation?
it is, well, listen, to the extent of, it's something that we have a concern about in terms of the quality of life. And if we vote no, because we don't believe that you're going to be a good partner to our soundproof. I
But
think we're
what
in.
if they say yes? And I'm just always
Yeah.
thinking
Well-
that people will say
And like you
yes.
said,
Well, here's the
And
thing,
then-
your neighbors will tell on you once you do that.
I don't
If
know.
you're that person, your neighbors will tell on you.
You know, I think
I don't know.
where
Neighbors
we
don't
think we
even know.
mentioned integrity, I think we also need to speak about advocacy, where people will complain internally. It's like things happen in my building, and sometimes we have 5 people who always call 311 or always call building manager if it's a 60-unit apartment building, right? And that's less than 10%
right,
of people, of a lot of times it's a building-wide issue,
Right.
but only 5 people have called. So we think that people will advocate or champion or at minimum do the correct streams, but they don't always do it, so sometimes you don't quite know.
right. And but sometimes they don't even know where to go to
Correct,
complain
right,
and things
especially
like
if
that.
they're new to the country, the neighborhood, you know, many of those aspects.
No, and to
Or
that
they,
point,
or they're having
Yeah, we
issues
can't
with their
rely on
landlord.
people,
Yeah.
it's tattletaling on other people.
We can always pull through on one of the reports, but that comes post if they
Right.
do renewal.
Right,
right, well, and here's the thing, there's just a certain amount, we won't know, until they're approved. I think the only thing we can do is just try and at least ask the right questions and put enough stuff up front, so that way everybody's kind of aware, it's like we're all on the same page. The expectation is from this board that you're gonna do X, Y, and Z. And, you know, I mean, yeah, there's just gonna be a certain amount of trust that we're gonna have to put in there, and to the point of advocacy, there's probably gonna be some things that, yeah, we can try to educate the community in terms of, like, listen, if this is your problem, you don't need to live with this. Every Friday night is hell because, you know, the DJ's playing, you know, 95 decibels and everything like that, and you can't sleep, and your kids are getting contact highs because of whatever's going on. You don't have to live like that.
So the sound permits have the decibel
right.
amount, right?
Yeah.
So how do we educate the community?
Ooh, that's a hard question.
Well, that's what we're here for, right? And so
Right.
we're supposed to, I tell my neighbors, come to the community board meeting.
Absolutely.
Or, oh, you have an issue, CC the community board on your issue in addition to the other
Maybe
agencies.
we need to have a meeting and invite the community to come.
We can discuss,
Yeah,
I mean, absolutely, we can
That's how I
discuss
found out about
resources.
the community board, is I looked it up years ago and was like, oh.
Yeah, but you're proactive that way, not everyone is.
Correct, and sometimes the proactive is due to the lack of information, and sometimes the proactive is due to just not wanting to participate.
One thing, and I'll check with some of my colleagues in other boards, one thing I've heard, like, and this probably happened, no, actually, I think they do it even for every application they have, one of the requirements they have is you need to put up a sign in the lobby, so if you're in a residence, you need to put up signs in the lobbies, maybe in the residence, or maybe even 2 or 3, and give us proof that, no, you told the neighbors you're coming in. So if we did that with new applications and with renewals,
Right, I think let's add that.
people may give you the stories, it's like, oh,
even-
they're coming up for renewal, now it's
Even,
done.
even with this renewal, they said they verbally and posted notice, and we're just assuming that they did it.
Right.
But who's checking this?
I've seen
Some say-
notices,
But it's
but
just
I think
checking.
some of the notifications, all you have to do is place it in a publication, sort of like,
Local newsletter.
like with local
Yeah.
news, something to that extent.
Oh, no, some of these I've heard, no, you put them in the building lobby.
Your building lobbies.
You post them in the building lobby, so that way it's like, they know
And
that, you know,
and
and this
how
would
do
be
we
one of
know
those
that's
things
being
where
done?
we're predictable, where we say, no, we're having a hearing on this night.
But
This
I
person is
believe
putting an
SLA
application.
makes them post it, cause I've seen them in passing,
Mhm.
so I believe it's part of the application that it has to be post.
I believe so.
Right, within a certain distance, because like sometimes I'll randomly be walking and I'll see something post on a tree, you know, so, no, you know, it's where they utilize the signage, where the real estate is for it.
You know what
But and that'll be something we'll do, I'll talk to the office and we'll see if we can get poster requirements, so we'll see, we gotta get that answer as well as correct, so, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr.
No, so question, so there are minimum requirements, right, that have to be fulfilled in order for this to move forward, right? Even though those are minimum requirements, the board can make them as stringent as they want, right? So if, for instance, posting on a tree or whatever the signs, you can have the gentleman physically go to every single apartment and get the actual signature.
So we've done that previously, right? 2 months
Right.
ago, we've had, someone who was an applicant, and the recommendation was to get signatures, 2 blocks north, 2 blocks
And we
south.
sent them back.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly, right,
Yeah, we've got about 50.
Now with
Yeah.
that, here's the thing. I'd have to think about that, but the only thing I would probably say is, I just wanna make sure we're consistent across the board. So
Right.
if you tell one applicant, no, all y'all gonna have to go to Kinko's and post these flyers everywhere you're gonna go.
Right.
It's just a matter of being consistent with the way we do it.
Exactly, I agree.
So can we see the criteria and then go from there? Can we all get a copy of it and then build from that?
And we can.
And can we also, like, I'd like to, maybe I'll just pull it, what's a sound permit, cabaret, details, because sometimes that's a mix, it's a mix.
And if we decide that we wanna do the posted, they could give us pictures of where they posted the things.
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying, I've seen places where you have to submit a
It's
picture.
not that we don't think that there's honest people.
But we just
No,
need
I think
evidence.
there's honest people.
I mean, I wanna be fair, there are honest people, but there are some people that try to cut, they cut,
We're really talking about also redrafting the application.
right, exactly.
And redoing that as well. And the thing is, and that's absolutely gonna be something that we do as well, but I kinda wanted to make sure that we kind of understood what's gonna be on this application. So what
Yeah.
are we requiring, what are the things that we wanna make sure?
I think our first thing is that we wanna say, when are you gonna start serving the alcohol, cause that's not even here, just the hours of operation. And so we don't know, are they serving the alcohol at 8:30? Let them write
But I
down.
don't think you can serve alcohol before.
Just because you can't do
Just-
something doesn't mean you won't do
We're
it.
back to the
There-
integrity.
Only,
Well, again, it's in the state law, so it gives the hours
Only
where you
in
can
the
sell.
skating
It does
rink,
give hours.
that was it.
Only in the skating rink you couldn't do it, yeah.
No, you could.
I'm sorry?
In the skating
Oh, you
rink.
could?
Yeah, at 10:30.
Oh, 10:30 they were serving. Okay.
Alcohol and skating.
In Prospect
No, but if
Park.
That's right, I
restaurants or
remember
bars
that.
do that,
Yeah,
they can
that's
lose
right, I
their
remember.
license and
Yeah.
essentially
And I
shut
think on
down.
Sunday you can't serve before
Well,
12.
now here's the thing, and I'm not
Maybe
sure.
Sunday, not before.
I'm not sure if there are
10, but
distinctions between if you're serving wine and, because
Yeah.
remember, we do have
Yeah, I
different
think,
distinctions. of
Beer,
I think that's
a
what it
beer.
is.
You're a
full
So
bar?
I
No,
think the
probably
skating
not.
rink is
Yeah.
cider beer and
Right,
wine.
so a
Cider
beer,
beer
if
might be
you
That
drink
can
enough
be
beer,
before 12.
even at 9 AM, by 10, you're gonna be good and,
Nice
So there are
and.
places that have bottomless,
Bottomless
mimosas.
brunch,
yeah,
not
yeah,
specifically mimosas, bottomless brunch.
yeah, yeah.
So,
You know, for me, I agree with what's been said. I think we have to advocate in our best interest and for those who do not have a voice,
Right.
who do not know they can come here and speak or may not speak because they're living under conditions that they may say, well, I have to live with this.
Right.
Like you said, someone started out in one of these buildings and downstairs was a 99-cent store and then it changed. And what are they doing? Powerless. The other things, what do landlords do? I mean, we need the whole landlords to have some accountability for making money in our community. And you need to be considerate of what you are placing here, who you are renting out to. Because, the store that we went through with the marijuana store, come
Right.
on. Those people upstairs didn't ask for that and what that brings. So I think somehow we need to have some kind of conversation with landlords on some level, those that might be troublesome. I've done advocacy, so I'm just
But
saying.
the landlords don't
But-
even live in the community,
Exactly.
so that's
But we
another
can
thing.
find them and let them, just to voice our concerns. But again, I agree with, we need some kind of conduct in regards to the hours. Not for, but they need to know coming into this community board, into this community, is by consensus, that you will close at this time. You will serve liquor, we know it's legal, but be considered, we would prefer you to do it at this time, given the structure of the business. Because there has to be some kind of code of conduct in the community and a consensus around how you do business. Because we're driving around, as I'm driving around, we're like, wow, it's a lot of liquor store, I'm not certain how people were moving, and I know some people came to here, and I'm still, I'm not certain this person doing what they said they were gonna be doing. And I haven't gone in, I haven't ventured in, and I may have to. I don't drink it. There was a time I did when I was young. I don't now, but I'm concerned. And whether it's getting back to us, I'm concerned because as you spoke about earlier, people aren't they're self-advocates. People feel powerless.
and just to throw this out as a thought, we can chew on it a little bit more, and maybe we give an avenue for people to do that. So it's like as part of the notice, there is a survey link, you can go to it.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea. That's a
You
very
can
good
go to it
idea.
and
I
you
like
can,
that.
you can give your testimony.
Yeah,
You
that's
wanna
a
come in
good-
person, that's fine, you can't
Yeah.
make it, you can give your testimony and say, yeah, they were good people, it's like, listen, I can't sleep. It's like, I haven't slept in 3 years since they've been here.
But that's assuming people have that option, people have computers and have access to the
But
internet.
even that, can I just,
To this.
I mean, we can play with that. Yeah, I mean,
Hear you.
yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying, I mean-
Especially in this particular community, there are a number of people in my area, just on my block, that they don't have the internet. They don't have computers in
or they're not computer savvy.
right.
that
Tech
also.
savvy.
Well, but here's to that point, and this is a conversation, I know, our first vice chair, Ethan, he's been working on some stuff as well. Where it's like if it's more mobile telephone based stuff, where it's like a lot of people at least can take cameras and they can snap on links and it'll take you to the page where it's like, okay, just
Right,
click
so
this
QR
button.
codes.
Yeah, QR codes, and there's probably other technology that I'm way behind on, but it's a point well taken where it's like, we gotta understand where our people are and where they are in terms of the technology or how they can.
So with that, and when we speak of community and self-advocating, I think that also sometimes many people take the position that I have advocated and I haven't seen a change, right? And so we can set up these parameters, but I think that how we enforce it usually takes some time because it's not until they come back up for another renewal, unless it's an extreme violation. And the extreme violations usually are violence or serving to minors, correct?
Yeah, probably. And here's the thing, I mean, with that being said, and I wanna be careful with this, I don't think we have to wait 2 years if somebody's really bad. A couple of police reports and a couple of, some significant enough complaints, I think you can get somebody to go and shut something down if they're really out of control, out of pocket. So it doesn't have to get to that point, we don't have to do that. And again, going back to the advocacy piece, if you are living in hell, you do not have to do that. These are the things you can do. You can contact NYPD, you can contact the board office. If you wanna go to PD, you can contact the board office, we will go on your behalf to the PD and say, listen, this has been an issue, we got a number of complaints from this building. And we can do that part. And that's something we do, the district office does that regularly, so that's not something that's out of range, we can't do that. All right, this is really good, I want to be respectful of time, I know we started late because of me, and I want to be respectful of that as well. And I think there's enough homework here where we can start that, where we can get you some resources, so that way we can look at this and really time to come back.
Right.
All right, but I want to thank everyone for this, so we'll write this up as well, we'll try and get it out to everyone. And yeah, and if there's any research or anything you want to bring back, send it to the officer, we can make sure it's part of the package for next meeting as well. Okay, all right. Okay, so apparently this committee carried on without me.
We're self-sufficient.
Yeah, but you know what, as a chair of the board, that's what I'm.
Listen, they threw me into like, okay, hello, Fred.
I know you said clear the room, I got it. No, but so that's all we have for right now. So there's some assignments, I'll talk to the district office, we'll make sure we get that, so we'll communicate. So it was approved and they're gonna go before the board, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And our meeting, will it be at IS, whatever, Lefferts?
We should be back in regular order.
Okay,
So we should be back at.
We guided them to call Monday before to find out if it was going to take place there on the 28th.
Okay, but yeah, the district office will take care of that.
That's
That'll
what
be
we
true.
said, we said that they'll probably get a call. But if
Absolutely.
they don't, then on Monday before the 28th, they should just call the community board and find out where exactly the meeting's taking place. But I told them, don't worry, you're probably gonna get a phone call. Okay?
All right, so with that being said, we've completed our agenda. Just again, thanks to everyone, I appreciate you all and your commitment and sacrifice you made. This is the committee, we are.
Nice seeing everyone.
Yeah.
Time is now 9:05. No.
8:05.